One day, there was a man sleeping in his room, dreaming a strange dream. He was wearing armor, and a little girl was playing with a ball. The ball hit his leg, so he stood up and gave it back to her. Then he woke up, puzzled by the dream. Our protagonist's name is Iwatani Naofumi. He lives alone, doesn't work, and spends most of his time watching anime, relying on an allowance from his parents. However, he's not completely isolated from the world and spends some time reading novels in the library. One day, he found a strange book. When he opened it, he read about 4 heroes from another world who would be summoned to save it. Each hero would wield a unique weapon, a sword, a spear, a bow, or a shield. Suddenly, as he turned the pages, he found a blank one, and the book started emitting a bright light. Naofumi fell to the ground and found himself in another world. In front of him were a group of people, and their leader said, "The summoning worked." One of them added, "You are our heroes. Please save our world." Naofumi tried to stand up and noticed a shield in his hand. Looking around, he saw the other heroes, each holding a weapon. One of the heroes asked, "What do you mean?" The people explained, "It's a long and complicated story. We summoned you through an ancient sacred ritual." Naofumi agreed to listen, but the other heroes refused and demanded to return to their world. One of them raised his sword and said, "Don't you feel guilty for bringing us here without our consent? When peace returns to your world, you'll discard us, and we'll have worked for nothing. Based on your answers, we'll decide whether to stay or not." One of the people replied, "First, we want you to meet King Melromark. You can discuss your reward with him." They agreed and headed to the king's castle. Naofumi was puzzled by their responses and confidence, feeling isolated compared to them. At the castle, the king welcomed them and asked them to introduce themselves. The sword hero began, "I'm Amaki Run, 16 years old, a high school student." The spear hero followed, "I'm Kitamura Motoyasu, 21 years old, a university student." The bow hero said, "I'm Kawasumi Itsuki, 17 years old, a high school student." When it was Naofumi's turn to introduce himself, the king interrupted, showing no interest. Naofumi said, "You forgot about me." The king replied indifferently, "Forgive me, introduce yourself." Naofumi said, "Iwatani Naofumi, 20 years old, a university student." The king ignored him and began, "There's a prophecy warning of the world's end. It speaks of waves that will lead to destruction. If we don't stop each disaster caused by these waves, the world will perish. Each country in this world has a dragon hourglass, which tells us when the waves are coming. The first wave struck the country before you were summoned. We barely managed to fight it off, but the upcoming waves will be much worse. The hourglass sands will continue running as long as the waves persist. Currently, less than a month remains until the second wave. Only the 4 heroes can stop these waves. That's why we followed the legend and summoned you." Naofumi thought, "This is the same story I read in the book I found in the library." Ren responded to the king, "We understand the story, but surely you didn't summon us hoping we'd save you for nothing in return." The king's aide replied, "Of course, once you fend off all the waves, we will reward you." An agreement was made, and the king said, "You should check your status." Everyone except Ren was confused. Ren said, "You should have noticed something in this world. Don't you see an icon at the edge of your vision? Focus on it." Naofumi followed his instructions and saw his stats, resembling a game interface showing magic points, current level, starting at level 1, and more. The king said, "You must go out and embark on adventures to upgrade your legendary weapons." Naofumi thought to himself, "My weapon isn't even a real weapon. I'll rely on the other heroes." The king's aide said, "Each of you must embark on your own journey. The legendary weapons naturally repel one another. If you train together, they won't develop properly. Rest today while we gather your teams for the adventure." The heroes went to their room, discussing the day's events. They noticed something odd. Each had different knowledge, but they all spoke the same language, indicating they were from Japan but from different dimensions. Naofumi asked, "I can't believe you've all played games similar to our current situation. Why am I the only one who doesn't know these things?" Itsuki replied, "That's because you're the shield hero." Naofumi was shocked and asked why. Motoyasu explained, "The shield hero is the choice of losers. No one plays as him." Naofumi was stunned and felt disheartened, thinking to himself, "It doesn't matter if I'm weak. I'll rely on my team." The shield hero's role is to block attacks and protect the team. If my life in my world lacked romance, maybe I'll find it here. Things will be fine. Even if I'm weak, I'll give it my all. The next day, they went to the castle to meet their teams. Elite warriors were present, ready to choose which hero to join. No one chose Naofumi, leaving him shocked. The king said, "I didn't expect this. Rumors have spread that the shield hero knows nothing about our world. The legend states that heroes come with great knowledge of our world." Motoyasu approached and said, "Someone must have eavesdropped on us last night." Naofumi asked Run, "You don't need 5 people with you. Give me some of them. Rin looked at his team and said, I prefer working alone. If any of you aren't qualified, I'll leave you behind. Itsuki suggested we could divide them among us, but forcing them would ruin morale. Naofumi grew angry as this meant he'd venture alone, without a real weapon. Suddenly, a woman raised her hand and said, I'll join the Shield Heroes team. The king said, you'll have to recruit people for your team yourself. Each month, you'll receive funds for your needs. This time, Naofumi's payment will be higher than the others. The heroes left, bidding each other farewell at the city gate. The woman who joined Naofumi introduced herself. I'm Sophia Mine. It's an honor to fight alongside you. Naofumi thought to himself, she's kind and friendly. She chose me despite everyone else rejecting me. I'll protect her with all my strength. Mine showed him around the city, and Naofumi told her he needed a shop to buy armor and a sword. She took him to a trusted shop. At the shop, Naofumi tried to wield a sword, but it shocked him. He quickly dropped it and tried another, experiencing the same issue. A warning appeared, stating he had violated the rule of the legendary weapon and couldn't wield any weapon not designated for him. This meant he could only use the shield. The shopkeeper examined Naofumi's shield and said, at first glance, it seems like an ordinary shield. Naofumi replied, but it's stuck to my hand. I can't remove it. Losing hope in buying a weapon, he looked at some armor and bought a shield. They began their adventure, leaving the city. Upon exiting, they encountered fast monsters resembling orange balloons. Naofumi defeated them and leveled up, but noticed the other heroes were far superior. Ren easily defeated his monsters. By sunset, Naofumi stored the defeated monsters in his shield to increase his stats. At night, they returned to the equipment shop to buy gear for Mine. She exploited him, making him pay a large sum, claiming it would make her stronger and bring him greater rewards. Afterward, they went to a restaurant to eat and plan the next day. Naofumi went to his room to sleep, but first thanked Mine for choosing him, promising to repay her one day. He went upstairs, reviewed his finances, hid some coins in his shield, and went to sleep. The next day, early in the morning, Naofumi wakes up suddenly and finds that his shield, money, and everything he bought are gone. He rushes to knock on Mine's door, intending to tell her they've been robbed. But suddenly, castle knights enter while he's knocking and calling out for Mine. They say, good thing you're here, and before he can explain, the knight commander tells him, the king has summoned you. Come with us. They take him to the castle, throw him to the ground, and point their weapons at him. Naofumi sees Mine standing near Motoyasu, looking frightened. He asks her, are you okay? She hides behind Motoyasu. Noticing everyone's strange looks, Naofumi says to the king, my money and equipment were stolen while I was sleeping. The king angrily interrupts, silence, you scum. Then he turns to Mine and says, brave warrior, could you repeat what happened? Mine, trembling, replies, the shield hero barged into my room at night, but I barely escaped and quickly went to Motoyasu, who was coincidentally staying at the same inn. Motoyasu adds, if she hadn't asked me to wait until morning to summon the knights, I would have killed you myself. Naofumi gets frustrated and retorts, this is nonsense. I went to bed right after dinner last night. He notices Motoyasu wearing the armor he bought the day before and shouts, you're the thief. Motoyasu responds, Mine gave me this armor as a gift when I saw her at the inn last night. The king interjects, I can't believe you committed the gravest sin in this land. The penalty is execution. If you weren't a hero, you'd be dead right now. Naofumi protests, I told you, I didn't do it. If you're so convinced I'm guilty, where's the evidence? One of the king's knights steps forward, saying, when we searched the shield hero's room, we found her clothes in his bed. Shocked, Naofumi exclaims, how? That wasn't there when I woke up. The other heroes look down on him in disgust, and Naofumi notices Mine sticking her tongue out at him, revealing her true colors. It dawns on him that she had planned this from the start to rob and destroy him. He shouts, you tricked me. This was all a setup. Mine continues acting innocent and asks Motoyasu to protect her. Motoyasu responds, shut up, you criminal. Naofumi retorts, you were in on this with her from the beginning. Rin comments, he refuses to admit his guilt, so he's throwing out baseless accusations. The knights scoff, summoning the four heroes was a mistake from the start. We shouldn't have summoned scum like the shield hero. Angered, Naofumi thinks, they're targeting me because I'm weak, trying to tear me down to feel good about themselves. These people don't trust me at all, so why should I fight for them? Raising his head, he declares, I don't care anymore. Send me back to my world. Summon another shield hero or do whatever you want. Why should I suffer in a world I don't belong to? Rin says, So you're running away the moment things get tough? Itsuki adds, after everything you did, you're not even going to do your job? Naofumi counters, whatever, I don't care, just send me back to my world. The king responds, I would have granted your wish and exiled you, but the legend says we can't summon new heroes until the current ones die. You also can't return to your world until you deal with all the upcoming waves. The other heroes protest, you want us to fight alongside someone like him? Naofumi declares, I'll handle the waves my way, shoving the knights aside and using his shield to protect himself. He asks the king, what will you do? Lock me up until the next wave comes. The king replies, no, I won't imprison you. The next wave is approaching soon, and whether you're scum or not, you're still one of the heroes who can fight it. However, news of your crime has spread. Your punishment is that you're no longer welcome to live in this city. Naofumi replies, I understand, then pulls out the money hidden in his shield and throws it at mine and Motoyasu, saying, is this what you wanted? Take it. He walks out of the castle, losing everything. His money, clothes, shelter, and people's respect. On his way out of the city, he meets the equipment shop owner, who grabs him and says, I heard what you did to that girl. You deserve a beating. Naofumi replies, even you? But the shopkeeper sees the truth in Naofumi's eyes and lets him go, giving him a magical cloak as a gift. Naofumi asks the price, promising to repay it someday, then leaves the city. Naofumi vents his anger by fighting monsters outside the city, leveling up in the process. He returns to sell the monsters he defeated, but the merchant offers a ridiculously low price. Naofumi threatens him with the orange balloons, forcing the merchant to pay the full amount. He then stops by the equipment shop to pay for the cloak and leaves. The next day, Naofumi sees a plant he recognizes from the equipment shop and places it in his shield, unlocking a new ability called Leaf Shield, which enhances plant quality. He starts improving plants and selling them in the city, earning enough money to sustain himself. At night, in an inn, 3 shady individuals approach him, mocking, we want to join your party. Naofumi replies, let's discuss the terms first. Your payment depends on your performance. As the leader, I'll take 40% of the loot and distribute the rest as I see fit. If you can even do your job. One of them says, let's go buy some gear then. Naofumi counters, buy your own gear. I'm not obligated to buy you anything. The men reveal their true intentions, demanding all his money. Naofumi says, if you'd said that earlier, we could have saved time, and attacks them with the orange balloons. One of them tries to stab him with a knife, but Naofumi blocks it with his shield, unleashing a burst of energy that forces them to flee. Naofumi reflects, I have defense but no attack power. Without the ability to attack, I can't defeat monsters. Without defeating monsters, I can't level up. Without leveling up, I can't grow stronger. A mysterious man appears, saying, looks like you need help. I have exactly what you're looking for. He takes Naofumi to his slave trading shop, explaining, slaves don't lie or betray because they're bound by a curse tied to a seal. You can even kill them if they disobey. Naofumi agrees, saying, show me what you have. He notices the slaves are humanoid, with animal-like features, treated as subhuman in this world. He hears coughing and follows the sound, finding a sickly, humanoid child. So he tells her, lift your head, but the owner of the place interrupts, saying, she's a sick demi-raccoon girl suffering from mental trauma. Even I have a hard time with her. Her previous owner enjoyed torturing her. Naofumi replies, I'll buy her, and the owner takes her out of the cage and draws the slave seal with Naofumi's blood. She writhes in pain as the owner explains, the slave crest will make her defiance impossible. Naofumi sees in his system that a slave has been added, and he approaches her angrily, saying, what's your name? She answers, Raphtalia, and he grabs her hand roughly, pulling her out of the place. Naofumi takes her to the blacksmith to buy her a weapon and armor. Suddenly, an orange balloon monster appears, and he tells her, show me what you can do, but she's scared of the monster. He activates the slave seal, causing her intense pain, forcing her to obey him. After she destroys the balloon, her stats increase. Naofumi tells her, from now on, you'll fight the monsters for me. He leaves the shop, saying, follow me. On their way, Naofumi notices Raphtalia is hungry, so they go to a restaurant. Raphtalia asks, why are you feeding me? Naofumi replies, I felt like you wanted to try it. For the first time, Raphtalia feels someone is treating her kindly. Later, they train and defeat some monsters together. At sunset, they eat, and Naofumi notices that Raphtalia's level has increased to 3. His shield has also gained new abilities. Raphtalia asks, who are you? He replies, I'm the shield hero. This reminds her of when her father told her the shield hero was kind to demi-humans, and she dreamed of meeting him someday. Raphtalia then asks for his name. Naofumi tells her and gives her medicine for her cough. She falls asleep but dreams of her parents dying to protect her from a 3-headed monster. She wakes up terrified and crying, and Naofumi hugs her to comfort comfort her. The next day, Naofumi sells some plants and medicines he made using the mixing ability he gained. They check into an inn in the city, where he intimidates the innkeeper into giving them a room. They continue their daily routine of selling items, buying food, training, and Naofumi taking care of Raphtalia kindly. During one training session, a rabbit monster attacks and bites Naofumi. He tells Raphtalia to attack it, but she's scared to make it bleed, saying, "I'm afraid of blood." Naofumi replies, "If you don't kill it, I won't take care of you anymore because I need to be strong before the next wave. Defense is the only thing I can do. I need someone to fight for me. If you can't do it, I'll find someone else." Raphtalia, determined not to be abandoned, grabs the sword and attacks the rabbit, killing it. She says, "I'll fight for you, so please don't give up on me." Afterward, they go to the blacksmith to buy Raphtalia a new weapon. Naofumi asks for directions to a nearby village suitable for their current gear, and the blacksmith suggests one. They go there, sell the rabbit, and Naofumi inquires about a place to earn money quickly. Someone tells him the raw materials from the coal mine are worth a lot, but ever since the first wave, the mine has been filled with dangerous monsters. Naofumi and Raphtalia head to a shack near the mine, where Naofumi adds new abilities to his shield and tests them. They then go to the mine, where Naofumi gathers minerals to sell. Suddenly, a two-headed dog appears. Raphtalia screams because it resembles the monster that killed her parents. Naofumi quickly saves her by jumping into the water with her. Hanging onto a rope with Raphtalia in his arms, she says the dog killed all the villagers and her parents. Naofumi tells her, "End it here and now. If you fight and make me stronger, we can stop the disasters ahead and prevent others from experiencing the tragedy you endured." Naofumi charges at the monster, using his shield to block one head, but the other head bites his shoulder. He pins it down and tells Raphtalia, "This is your chance." She's paralyzed with fear and doesn't move, so he says, "If I die, you'll die too." She replies, "No." He activates the slave seal, forcing her to stand despite her fear and tears. Naofumi feels guilty and tells her to run while he buys her time. However, Raphtalia recalls all the kindness Naofumi has shown her since he bought her. She jumps at the monster, stabbing it, but it doesn't die. Naofumi uses his shield to protect her from its attack, and she rushes in again, driving her blade into its heart. She runs to Naofumi, hugging him and crying. That night, Naofumi adds the monster to his shield and sells the minerals he gathered from the mine, earning a lot of money. They go to a restaurant to eat. After a week of training, Naofumi gained many techniques. A hedgehog attacked him, so he used the shield prison technique, and Raphtalia jumped in and killed it, now at level 18. After some time, we find Naofumi and Raphtalia at the blacksmith's shop, where the owner comments on how quickly Raphtalia has grown. They request a custom shield for Naofumi and buy a new sword for Raphtalia. The next day, Naofumi picks up his new shield. They notice a commotion in the city, people gathering as nights enter because the disaster is approaching. Naofumi says, "If I knew when and where the disaster would start, I'd make a plan." The blacksmith responds, "Didn't anyone tell you? The city's hourglass. When the last grain of sand falls, the heroes will be sent to the disaster site." Naofumi goes to see the hourglass, and his shield resonates with it, glowing and sinking. It shows him the remaining time, 20 hours. Motoyasu, with his team including Multi-Mine, approaches and taunts, "You're still fighting with those weak items?" Naofumi ignores him and heads for the door. Multi says, "Wait, Motoyasu is talking to you," but Naofumi doesn't reply. He spots Run and Itsuki and hears Motoyasu talking to Raphtalia, greeting her. Raphtalia responds, "I swore to fight with Naofumi," surprising Motoyasu, who says, "You'll be in danger if you stay with him." Naofumi calmly approaches, glaring at Motoyasu, then grabs Raphtalia's hand and walks away. Motoyasu calls after her, "Have you heard the rumors about him?" Itsuki tells Naofumi, "I'll see you at the wave," and Ren adds, "Don't be a burden." Naofumi suppresses his intense anger and leaves without replying. That night, Raphtalia notices Naofumi isn't himself and seems upset. She asks, "Did something happen between you and the other heroes?" He replies, "It's none of your business." She leaves him and goes to sleep, while Naofumi thinks, "Even if I told the truth, no one would believe me." The next morning, in the city square, Raphtalia approaches Naofumi with a somber expression and says, "I'm so grateful to have met you. You healed me, fed me, taught me how to live, and gave me a reason to fight. I am your sword, and wherever you go, you'll find me by your side." The countdown reaches 0, and the heroes are transported to the disaster site. They find the sky red and waves of color moving through it. Suddenly, swarms of giant insects and skeletons armed with weapons appear. Naofumi notices they are heading toward the nearby village they visited recently. One of the heroes fires a signal into the sky. Naofumi gets angry, thinking, do they think they've done their part just by notifying the knights of the enemy's location? location? The castle isn't far, but by the time the knights arrive, the village will be wiped out. Naofumi and Raphtalia rush to the village. A skeleton attacks a villager with a sword, but Naofumi quickly intervenes, blocking it with his shield, while Raphtalia destroys the skeleton. Naofumi tells her, "Go help evacuate the villagers. I'll draw them away." He starts running, blocking attacks, and taunting the enemies to chase him. The villagers notice the shield hero protecting them. Naofumi climbs the village's bell tower and rings the bell to attract the enemies. A large group gathers on the stairs, so he throws flammable material on them and sets it alight, leaping away from the fire. Suddenly, the village men return, saying, "We changed our minds after seeing your bravery fighting alone. We've decided to fight with you." A giant monster attacks them, and Naofumi blocks its strike but is sent flying. A villager strikes the monster, but it's ineffective. Naofumi blocks again and says, "You can't handle this one." Raphtalia appears and kills the monster, telling the villagers, "Evacuate. We'll handle this." Suddenly, a barrage of fire projectiles rains down. Naofumi covers Raphtalia with his cloak and activates his shield. They discover the knights fired the projectiles without caring that the shield hero was in the village. Raphtalia, enraged, attacks their captain, but he blocks her strike. She yells, "Did you know Naofumi was here? I'll cut off your head if I don't like your answer." The captain orders his men to draw their swords, but Naofumi tells her to leave them alone. One knight mockingly says, "As long as you behave, we won't have to kill you." Naofumi retorts, "Fine, I can sit back and watch you get eaten by monsters." A giant monster appears, nearly killing the knight, but Naofumi intervenes with his shield to save him, and Raphtalia swiftly kills the monster. Naofumi tells the knights, "We'll buy you time to form your ranks," and he and Raphtalia charge into battle. One knight sneaks away, telling the others, "Let's leave him and join the other heroes." The captain feels guilty and orders the knights to form up and assist the shield hero. Meanwhile, the other heroes defeat many monsters. The disaster suddenly ends, and the sky returns to normal. The heroes comment, "That wave was easy." Ren says, "Their boss was very weak. The next wave will probably be just as simple." Motoyasu asks, "Where's Naofumi?" Malty replies, "Good thing he wasn't here. He would have been a burden." At the same time, the villagers thank Naofumi for saving them. At night, the king organizes a party to celebrate the heroes for stopping the calamity. Naofumi sits by the window, thinking to himself, "The party doesn't matter. If it weren't for the reward, I wouldn't have come." He reflects, "I could have transported anyone with me instantly if I had registered them earlier. I wish I had noticed that sooner." Naofumi notices Motoyasu watching Raphtalia as she approaches him, but Mine grabs Motoyasu's hand and whispers something in his ear. Raphtalia insists Naofumi eat with her, but he refuses. She fetches food and feeds him with her hand. This enrages Motoyasu, who throws his glove to the ground, drawing everyone's attention. He challenges Naofumi, saying, "Duel me. I heard that Raphtalia is your slave." Naofumi responds, "So what if she is?" Motoyasu retorts, "You can't enslave others." Naofumi replies, "Tell that to yourself. Slavery is legal here." Motoyasu exclaims, "We're heroes from another world. We can't do that, even if it's allowed here." Naofumi counters, "That's your opinion. I disagree." Motoyasu raises his spear, saying, "Fight me. If you win, you free Raphtalia. If I win, I'll leave you alone." Naofumi dismisses him, saying, "I'm not interested," and walks away. Ren comments, "I didn't expect Naofumi to stoop this low." A knight blocks Naofumi's path. The king intervenes, saying, "I overheard everything. A hero enslaving a demi-human? You seem truly corrupt. I order you to accept the challenge." Raphtalia protests, "There's no need for this. I'm with Naofumi by choice." A knight covers her mouth to silence her. The king claims, "You're cursed, forced to defend your master." "Don't worry. Once Motoyasu wins, you'll be freed." Furious, Naofumi shouts, "Stop this nonsense." The knights draw their swords. The king declares, "If you disobey, we'll take her by force." Motoyasu taunts, "I hope you don't run away from this challenge too." Enraged, Naofumi agrees, "I'll win and take Raphtalia back." Mine sneers, "And how will you defeat the spear hero, shield hero?" The crowd laughs. They head to the arena, standing face to face. Motoyasu initiates with several attacks, all blocked by Naofumi. He unleashes a quick strike, injuring Naofumi's shoulder. Naofumi counters with a punch. Suddenly, Motoyasu finds a balloon biting him. "What are you doing?" he exclaims. Naofumi replies, "If I can't win, I'll at at least humiliate you. He transforms his shield into the two-headed dog, attacking and biting Motoyasu. Naofumi launches him backward with an airstrike shield and traps him in a shield prison with balloons. The crowd begins to pity Motoyasu, shouting insults at Naofumi. Approaching the shield prison, Naofumi asks, "Will you surrender?" Motoyasu refuses, prompting Naofumi to threaten, "Then I'll aim for your face until you give up." Suddenly, Mine casts a magic spell at Naofumi's back, sending him flying. This unfair move allows Motoyasu to attack again. Although Naofumi deflects several hits, Motoyasu's lightning strike pierces him, knocking him to the ground. Struggling to his feet, Naofumi protests, "Wait, someone interfered in our duel. This doesn't count." Motoyasu dismisses him, upset about losing. Naofumi retorts, "No, everyone saw mine use magic." The crowd denies it, siding with the king, who declares, "There's no need to listen to such filth. The spear hero is the winner." Mine mocks Naofumi, whispering, "I know you're bitter. Sadly, you'll fight alone again." She laughs as the king praises Motoyasu, stating, "My daughter Malti made the right choice in picking you." Naofumi realizes in horror that Mine is the king's daughter. Understanding their plan, he sinks into despair, unable to distinguish lies from truth. He recalls Mine whispering to Motoyasu during the party, claiming, "The shield hero forced that girl to be his slave. Please free her." Overwhelmed by rage, Naofumi's shield reacts, emitting dark energy. He sinks deeper into negative thoughts, yelling internally, "I didn't choose to come here. Why must I suffer alone?" The king's spokesperson announces to the crowd, "The shield hero enslaved this girl. She has been freed thanks to the spear hero." Raphtalia, still gagged, cannot deny the accusations. The crowd jeers, saying, "We never should have summoned the shield hero. The other three are better. Let's get rid of him." Naofumi's anger grows, slamming his hand into the ground, muttering, "The shield hero again?" His shield responds, unlocking the curse series as flames ignite it. Meanwhile, Raphtalia strikes Motoyasu, yelling, "You're a fraud. When did I ever ask you to free me?" Motoyasu replies, "But he mistreated you." She counters, "What do you even know about Naofumi? He's never asked me to do anything beyond my limits. He protects me and lets me rest when I'm tired." Shocked, Motoyasu argues, "No, Naofumi isn't that kind of man." Raphtalia retorts, "Could you have helped a dying slave like he did?" Mine interrupts, yelling, "Enough! How dare you speak this way?" She attempts to strike Raphtalia, but Ren and Itsuki intervene. Itsuki asks Ren, "What do you think about the illegal interference in the duel?" Motoyasu is confused, asking, "What do you mean?" Ren explains, "You lost the match. Mine used a wind spell on Naofumi." Itsuki adds, "It's hard to detect because it's wind magic. Look at the nobles' faces. They know." Ren continues, "I can't believe the royal family dishonored the duel." Raphtalia approaches a despondent Naofumi, who remains on the ground. He accuses her, "Why did you come back? Here to mock me? I don't need a traitor." She responds, "I heard the rumors about you, but I know you couldn't do those things." Naofumi doesn't hear her last words and shouts, "I didn't do it." She tries to comfort him, but he pushes her away, saying, "Thanks to Motoyasu, you're free. Go away." When Raphtalia insists on staying, Naofumi accuses her, "You're lying. What's your next accusation? From the moment I got here, no one has trusted or accepted me because of this shield." She touches the shield, saying, "This shield saved me many times. During the calamity you couldn't fight, but you protected the villagers with it." Naofumi denies, "I didn't do it for them." She counters, "Yet you saved lives." She hugs him, stating, "I know you better than anyone in this world. Even if the whole world speaks ill of you, I'll tell them they're wrong. I'll say it repeatedly, you're amazing. I'm your sword and will follow you anywhere." Naofumi calms, the flames on his shield fading, his markings disappearing. He starts crying, thinking, "These are the words I needed to hear." Raphtalia continues, "If you'll trust no one, I'll trust in you." Emerging from despair, Naofumi asks, "Who are you?" She replies, "Raphtalia." He says, "Raphtalia is a child." She retorts, "When will you stop treating me like one?" and hugs him. The next morning, Naofumi wakes up resting on her lap in the arena. They go to eat and he comments, "Are you really Raphtalia? I'm still not used to how you look." She explains, "Demi-humans grow rapidly when their levels increase." Naofumi realizes he can taste food again after his dark depression. At the same time, the queen is talking to one of her followers and says, "Is this what the king was aiming for?" Her follower replies, "Surely, Malti convinced him." The queen then asks how the shield hero is holding up until now, and the follower responds, "He got himself a demi-human girl from a slave trader." The queen remarks, "That puts my mind at ease, but the news of the 4 heroes summoning has reached us here. We must must prevent our neighbors from interfering at all costs. The follower replies, we'll monitor the situation in the capital. The queen says, I'll rely on you. Then we go to the king's palace, where the 4 heroes are gathered before him. He says, as a reward for your efforts, Motoyasu will get 4,000 silver coins, Itsuki and Ran will each get 3,800, and the shield hero will get 500. But since this matches the cost of freeing his slave, he won't get any money this time. Itsuki objects, that's unacceptable. You intervened in his duel and annulled the seal, and now you won't even pay him back. Rin supports him, saying, that's right. It's clear Naofumi would have won the duel if you had followed the rules. Malti interjects, no, you're wrong. It was a one-on-one duel, and he was hiding monsters under his cloak, which is why my father declared his loss. Itsuki counters, even so, you cheated by casting a magic spell on him, and Rin adds, and when the wave came, Naofumi defended the villagers alone, instead of the knights. I think he deserves some form of compensation. The king grudgingly agrees, fine, I'll give him the lowest agreed upon amount. You've received your payment, now leave. Before Naofumi can attack the king, Raphtalia grabs him and calms him down, saying, let's not waste our time here. They leave. Raphtalia insists that they visit the slave trader to put another seal on her. Naofumi says, that wasn't necessary. She replies, I want it as a symbol of your trust in me. The slave trader is amazed at how much she's grown and improved. Naofumi notices some strange eggs in a box and asks, what are these? The trader replies, these are luck eggs. Pay 100 silver coins, and you'll get a folial whose strength doubles if raised well. Raphtalia explains to Naofumi, you've surely seen the birds that pull carriages in town. Naofumi decides to buy one so that Raphtalia won't have to fight alone. Later, they visit the herbal shop, where the owner tells Naofumi, my relatives in the village you saved asked me to help you. He gives Naofumi a book of medical recipes and says, the old woman at the magic shop wants to see you. They visit her and she explains, you have an affinity for healing and support magic, while Raphtalia has an affinity for light and dark magic. I recommend learning illusion magic. She gives them a book as a gift for saving her grandchild in the village and adds, I wish I could give you a crystal orb to learn magic, but the king has requested several for the other heroes. Naofumi deduces that the king gave everyone else orbs except him. He and Raphtalia leave, and he tries to read the book but can't understand the language. They decide to spend the rest of the day in the village and train tomorrow. The next day, they wake up to find the egg has hatched, and a very tiny bird emerges. Over the days, it grows until Naofumi can ride on its back. He names it Philo. Suddenly, they hear that knights have arrived in the village. They go outside to see what's happening and find Malti announcing, Motoyasu, the spear hero, has been appointed governor of this region. To contribute to the reconstruction, we've decided to impose a tax of 50 silver coins for entering and 50 for leaving the village. Naofumi objects, I disagree with this. Malti retorts, you're still here? This is Motoyasu's territory now, and you have no right to object. Leave immediately. Naofumi replies, I don't mind leaving, but the villagers won't accept this. Motoyasu, do you even know how much a night at the inn here costs? It's 1 silver coin with meals. You're imposing a tax equivalent to a 100-night stay just for entering and leaving the village. The villagers confirm Naofumi's claim, saying, you can't just come here and declare yourself the governor of the village. The shield hero is the one who protected us. Malti snaps, are you daring to complain about a royal decree, and signals the knights to draw their weapons on the villagers. Suddenly, the queen's followers appear before Malti. One of them says, I'm sure you know who we are, and hands her a letter from her mother, which enrages her. Malti demands Naofumi compete against Motoyasu for control of the village. The villagers plead with Naofumi to agree to the challenge, and he accepts. The contest is a 3-lap race. The race begins and Philo takes an early lead, but the knights, under Malti's orders, use magic to create a pit in the ground. Philo falls, allowing Motoyasu to take the lead in the first lap. However, Philo gets up and overtakes Motoyasu again. The knights cast magic again, slowing Philo down, but she recovers and overtakes him in the second lap. The knights then use magic to increase Motoyasu's speed and create another pit in Philo's path. This time, Naofumi uses his air shield to cover the pit, allowing Philo to overtake Motoyasu and win the race. The villagers thank Naofumi Naofumi for saving them once again. Suddenly, Philo grows into a large size. Malty accuses Naofumi of cheating, saying, "You didn't tell us your folial is a giant ball of fat." The queen's followers interject, "No, you're the one who cheated. We found traces of magic on the racecourse." Malty tries to accuse Naofumi of using magic, but one of the followers counters, "The shield hero's magic is for healing and support, and Raphtalia's is for light and dark. This doesn't match the magic we found. It was your team that cheated." Embarrassed, Malty leaves in frustration. The villagers thank Naofumi again and reward him with a cart. The village chief gives him a license exempting him from travel taxes in towns and suggests he work as a traveling merchant. Naofumi agrees. That night, the three of them sleep in the forest to rest before starting their journey. The next day, Naofumi and Raphtalia notice that Philo can transform into a human form. They take her to the equipment shop to buy clothes that won't tear every time she transforms. The shop owner directs them to a tailor who makes custom outfits. When they visit her, she asks them to bring magical thread infused with Philo's mana. They go to the witch who had given them the book and inquire about it. She requests time as she needs a gemstone to craft the magical thread. They embark on a journey to earn some money. On their way, they encounter a man running along the slope toward the town they're headed to. He asks them to take him there as fast as possible because his mother is sick. Naofumi quickly takes him on Philo's back. Upon entering the house, Naofumi notices his mother's deteriorating condition and enhances a potion with his shield, improving her health. The man gives Naofumi goods in return. Afterward, they reach the town, trade, and treat several people, causing Naofumi's reputation to improve. He develops his magical skills, learns how to create gemstones, expands his trading network, and even obtains information about the other heroes. Additionally, he secures a recommendation from a merchant and heads to a mine where he finds the gemstone needed for the magical thread. Though it's in a dangerous place, they take the witch along and enter the temple where the gemstone is located. On their way, they spot footprints of a monster. Suddenly, their fire torch extinguishes, and a spell causes them to hear voices of loved ones saying things they'd rather not hear. The witch tells Naofumi to ignore it because the monsters are provoking them. Suddenly, a monster injures Naofumi. The tailor uses magic to dispel the curse, and a swarm of bats appears. Philo defeats them with wind magic, and Naofumi adds the bats to his shield. They continue their journey and find what they're looking for. However, Raphtalia notices a snake and a lion inside. She attacks the lion, but it dodges and hits her hard. Philo attacks but misses as well. The witch uses fire magic, but it has no effect. Naofumi blocks its attack with his shield and pins it down, allowing Philo to strike its face swiftly. He pushes it away, and Raphtalia uses her dark magic to disappear. The monster hears her and the snake attacks, but Naofumi quickly warns her, and she dodges. Naofumi transforms his shield into a microphone using the bat's voices and tells Philo to scream as loudly as she can. This causes the monster's ears to explode. The witch uses fire magic again to distract it, and Raphtalia seizes the opportunity to stab it while Philo crushes its skull. They take the gemstone to the tailor, who uses it to make clothes for Philo. Afterward, they travel to deliver goods to a merchant who frequently deals with Naofumi. The merchant tells him he can't trust anyone else to deliver this order as quickly as possible. Naofumi is puzzled and wonders why the village urgently needs such a large quantity of pesticides. Upon arriving at the village, he understands the reason. Strange plants are covering the entire area. The village chief explains they tried everything to stop the plants, but nothing worked, and now the plants are turning into monsters and attacking them. When the villagers see Philo and Raphtalia, the chief asks Naofumi if he's the traveling savior with the cart. Naofumi denies it, not wanting to get involved, but Raphtalia scolds him. The village chief pleads with Naofumi to treat the sick and takes him to them. Naofumi finds that the plants are parasitic, consuming their bodies. Naofumi approaches one patient, applies a potion enhanced with his shield, and successfully heals them. He treats the others too. The chief begs Naofumi to save the village as well. Naofumi agrees reluctantly after hearing the story. The chief explains how spear hero Motoyasu had visited during a famine and brought back a sealed seed from a nearby temple. At first, the plants grew rapidly, solving their problem, but they eventually overgrew and consumed the village. Naofumi remembers seeing an empty box in the temple during their quest for the magical thread's gemstone. The villagers offer to pay upfront for the treatment and eradication of the monster. Naofumi takes the money and comments that he doesn't like cleaning up Motoyasu's messes, but since they paid, he'll save the village. Naofumi, Philo, and Raphtalia head to the planting site. They encounter plant monsters, cutting the first down easily, but the second one isn't affected by ordinary attacks. Naofumi Naofumi asks Raphtalia to spray the pesticide near the monster. She and Philo attempt to do so, but the effect is minimal. Naofumi recalls how enhancing potions worked on the patients and approaches the monster, which grabs him. He sprays it with the pesticide and uses his enhancement technique. It works, and the monster is destroyed. Adding it to his shield unlocks a new plant modification ability. He experiments by planting the monster again, easily killing it in seconds. Later, back in the village, Naofumi modifies the plants to grow without turning into monsters. He takes some seeds and sells them to the merchant who sent him on this journey. The merchant agrees to buy them. The next day, while traveling to a new village, they encounter an old woman who warns them, "If you continue, you'll die. It's better to turn back." The village has been wiped out, and even the village chief died from the plague. However, Naofumi decides to continue to the village to uncover what happened. Upon arrival, they find the village in a dire state. Someone asks him, "What brings you to a place like this?" Naofumi responds, "I'm a traveling merchant. I came to sell medicine." As soon as the villager sees Philo, he rushes to the village doctor. Naofumi follows him to the clinic and finds almost the entire village there, all sick. Naofumi insists on administering the medicine himself. He enhances the potions and gives them to the patients, improving their conditions. The villagers thank him and pay him money. Naofumi then asks, "Are you satisfied with this outcome? I only treated the symptoms, not the disease itself. It's bound to return. I don't mind coming back to treat them again for money, but let's see who runs out first, you or your treasury." The nurse angrily responds, "We know we can't let this continue, but there's nothing we can do. The wind coming from the mountain is causing this. About a month ago, the sword hero killed a dragon on the mountain. Many adventurers from faraway villages came to see the dragon's corpse and collect resources, which helped the village prosper. But one day, all the adventurers collapsed because the dragon's flesh rotted and released a form of toxin, which caused the plague. The mountain is still full of aggressive monsters, and while the adventurers could have disposed of the dragon's corpse, they were too ill. The toxin likely spread further around the dragon's location, making it impossible for adventurers to go near it. The king said the heroes are too busy to help." Naofumi responds, "Cancel the request you sent to the kingdom. I'll handle it." The doctor thanks him, but Naofumi replies, "Save your gratitude. I want money. Pay me what you would have given the castle." The nurse protests, "How can a savior be so greedy?" Naofumi retorts, "I never said I was a savior." They set out for the dragon, encountering small monsters along the way. Naofumi uses magic to shield Philo and tells her to trample them with the cart. When they reach the dragon, breathing becomes difficult due to the toxic air. Suddenly, the dragon regenerates and wakes up. They try to flee, but Philo attacks it, landing a kick to its face. Naofumi warns her to hide behind him before it releases its poison. Naofumi's shield can't fully absorb the poison, affecting Raphtalia. Philo becomes enraged and attacks the dragon, but it swallows her. Furious, Naofumi is consumed by darkness and hears a voice. "Are you seeking power? Do you hate everything?" He activates the cursed shield of wrath. His eyes glow red, rage blinds him, and the marks reappear on his face. As he approaches the dragon, it attacks him with its claws, but Naofumi blocks the strike and emits an energy blast that pushes the dragon back. Raphtalia notices something is wrong, approaches him, but is also blown back by the force. The dragon swings its tail at Naofumi, but he blocks it and releases flames from his shield, burning the dragon's tail. Naofumi remembers all the people who wronged him since arriving in this world, fueling his anger further as he approaches the dragon. However, he hears Raphtalia's voice in his mind saying, "I believe in you," which calms him. He regains his senses and finds Raphtalia holding him, her body covered in burns from the shield. She faints. Naofumi tries to heal her with magic, but it doesn't work. The dragon attacks again, but Naofumi blocks and incinerates it with fire. He struggles to control the shield's flames but fails. Determined, he tells himself, "I need to use this power to defeat it. But if I lose focus for even a second, hatred will consume me." Suddenly, the dragon collapses and dies. Raphtalia regains consciousness, and Philo emerges from its stomach, having killed it from the inside. She explains, "While cutting my way out, I found a large crystal. When I ate it, it died." They dispose of the dragon and quickly return to the village to treat Raphtalia. The doctor tells Naofumi that treating her will be difficult as she's afflicted by a powerful curse. "We've wrapped her in healing water-soaked bandages, but we don't have enough water to dispel the curse. If you travel to a big city, I'm sure you'll find it there. later, Naofumi checks on Raphtalia, and Philo gives him a piece of the dragon's core she found. He adds it to his shield, but his level isn't high enough to unlock its ability. Feeling guilty, he reflects, this shield wasn't part of the upgrade tree. If I had kept using it, I would have killed Raphtalia and Philo, who was inside the dragon. He apologizes to them, saying, forgive me for putting you in danger because I hesitated. There's a difference between courage and recklessness, just as there's a difference between caution and cowardice. If I stay a coward, I'll fail to protect the things I hold dear. Raphtalia reassures him, it wasn't your fault. If I were stronger, this wouldn't have happened. Philo adds, I'm also at fault for attacking it out of my hatred for dragons. Naofumi holds their hands and says, we've grown stronger now, and tomorrow we'll become even stronger. It's late, rest and recover. He leaves them to sleep. The next day, they climb a slope and fight some monsters, defeating them. Along the way, Naofumi tells Raphtalia, we'll return to the capital tomorrow to treat you. Philo notices several birds around a little girl and tells Naofumi, who goes to investigate. The birds around the girl fly away when they see him. When the girl sees Philo, she becomes excited and asks, are you a folial? Philo replies, are you talking about me? The girl is surprised that Philo can talk and says, I've always dreamed of talking to a folial. She gives Philo some food and introduces herself as Melty. Naofumi tells Philo, we still have things to do in the village, so stay with this girl and play with her until we're done. Be back before sunset. Naofumi and Raphtalia then go to treat some villagers. Later that night, Naofumi is changing Raphtalia's bandages when Philo enters, and suddenly Melty follows her. Melty says to Naofumi, can I stay with you for a while? I was on my way to the royal capital, but when I saw the folial, I got separated from my guards. I heard you're heading to the capital tomorrow. Can you take me with you? Naofumi thinks to himself, from her clothes and the fact she has guards, she must be the daughter of a noble in the capital. They'll surely reward us. He agrees but tells her, you'll have to pay a reward, and she accepts. One of the queen's followers observes them from afar. The next day, they ride the cart toward the capital. When they arrive, Philo takes Melty to her house, and Naofumi tells her, don't forget to collect the reward. He and Raphtalia go to buy the healing water. At the shop, they encounter someone who witnessed Naofumi's duel with Motoyasu. The man praises him, saying, your fighting style left a great impression on me. All the odds were against you, but you didn't give up. Honestly, I didn't expect you to hold your own with just a shield. Naofumi replies, spare me the flattery. I'm here for one thing, the healing water. I want the most effective kind. They demand a high price, which Naofumi pays. However, the water he receives is of poor quality. The shield alerts him, and the shopkeeper scolds his staff. Why did you bring low-quality water? Go get the highest quality. He apologizes to Naofumi, gives him the proper water, and leaves. As they leave, Raphtalia notices a knight running toward them. She tells Naofumi, who says, we'll run, and they flee. The knight keeps chasing them. Naofumi tells Raphtalia, he's after me. We'll split up. Go get Philo and meet me at the cart. Naofumi continues running, eventually losing the knight. Suddenly, Motoyasu appears and attacks Naofumi with his spear. Naofumi dodges, and Motoyasu shouts, where's your slave? I've come to free her. Naofumi responds, Raphtalia? Motoyasu says, no, the one with wings. I saw her with you. He throws his spear, but Naofumi blocks it with his shield. Their fight causes destruction in the city, leading to chaos as people begin fighting each other. The knight chasing Naofumi appears and shields him from Motoyasu's spear. The knight says, this is a public space, not a battleground. Mine arrives with several knights and orders them to surround Naofumi and Motoyasu. She raises a proclamation from the kingdom, declaring, by the authority granted to me by the king, I declare this an official duel between the shield hero and the spear hero. Suddenly, Melty enters the scene. When the knights hear her, they drop their weapons and bow. She says, throw down your weapons. I won't allow heroes to fight each other. Mine asks, what are you doing here? Melty responds, I haven't seen you in a long time, sister. Naofumi is shocked to learn the girl he brought to the capital is the king's daughter and mine's sister. Melty continues, do you think your privilege or the hero's privilege will cover up this mess? Look around, spear hero. Is this how a hero endangers the lives of civilians? Sister, you've gone too far this time. Mine replies, I'm doing my duty as the hero's assistant. Melty retorts, you call making him fight in a public place part of your duty? Mine counters, are you defying your older sister? Melty responds, if necessary, I'll tell mother. Melty apologizes to the citizens on their behalf. Raphtalia arrives with Philo, who immediately attacks the shield hero, saying, "I hate you." Melty then approaches Naofumi and says, "I want to talk to you." Naofumi takes her to an equipment shop for privacy. Melty introduces herself properly, saying, "I'm the first candidate for the throne because my sister has always been a troublesome child. I didn't know you were the shield hero, but that's good." Naofumi interrupts, saying, "We're done here. I won't trust a word you say. Leave." She begs him to listen to her, but he says, "I'm not obligated to listen to anything from the royals." One of the knights enters and tells Melty, "The king is summoning you," so she leaves with him. She remembers her mother's words, telling her to return to the capital and inform the king of his unjust treatment of the shield hero. Raphtalia scolds Naofumi for refusing to listen to Melty, but he remains silent. Philo gets upset and leaves, and Raphtalia asks him, "Is it because she's from the royal family?" Naofumi snaps and says, "I can't trust any of them." Philo returns with the knight who had been chasing Naofumi, accompanied by other knights. The knight tells Naofumi, "Please let us join you in the next waves. We were deeply moved by how you fought in the last wave, and we all want to support you." Naofumi replies, "If you want to fight the waves, you can do so without following me." They insist, "We want to be with you because you saved our families in the village, and we want to repay you." Naofumi holds up a necklace and says, "Buy this for 150 silver coins, and I'll consider your offer." They leave to gather the money. Naofumi hands his shield to the shopkeeper for repairs and asks, "Do you know what the stars that appeared next to Raphtalia and Philo in the stats mean?" The shopkeeper explains, "It means they're ready for class upgrades. This allows their level cap to increase, but only the castle can authorize these upgrades. As a hero, you're supposed to choose the path they'll take when upgrading." Naofumi opens the stats menu and finds that the upgrades are performed at the hourglass of the dragon vein. They head there, and along the way, he asks Raphtalia, "What kind of upgrade do you want?" She replies, "I'm fine with whatever you choose for me." Naofumi says, "No, you should carve your own path. After the waves are over, I'll return to my world. Choose something that will let you live without me." Raphtalia becomes upset at the thought of him leaving her world. At the hourglass, they find that the upgrade cost is very high for a single person. Naofumi tells Raphtalia, "We'll upgrade you first," and pays the fee. Suddenly, an official interrupts, saying, "We've received an order from the king not to allow anyone in the shield heroes party to upgrade." Naofumi takes back the money and leaves. They go to the slave trader, and Naofumi asks, "Can you perform the class upgrades?" The trader replies, "No, but you can do it at another hourglass." He tells them about the locations of other hourglasses, but they're too far away to return in time for the wave. They buy a weapon for Philo's claws. The next day, they set out for another town. Along the way, they pass through many villages suffering from famine, lacking both food and water. They stop at one village, and Naofumi asks the people, "What happened here?" A man responds, "We're refugees from the north. An adventurer sent by the kingdom formed a resistance group and started a revolution, leaving us caught in the chaos. Rumor has it he uses a bow." Naofumi is puzzled and tells Raphtalia, "Prepare some food for them." The next day, they return to the city and see Itsuki and Ran in a restaurant, sitting at another table. Itsuki says to Ran, "I overthrew a tyrant king in a northern country, but when I went to the guild, I found they gave the reward to someone else." Ran replies, "I've had work requests stolen from me too." Itsuki says, "It seems someone's going around impersonating us." One of Itsuki's teammates interrupts, saying, "We've received another request to overthrow a tyrant king in the north. According to the report, he's imposing taxes higher than the limits set by the castle and spending the money on mercenaries to suppress dissent." Itsuki replies, "He needs to learn that great power comes with great responsibility." Naofumi overhears and laughs. Itsuki confronts him, saying, "What's so funny?" Naofumi replies, "Nothing." Itsuki accuses him, "You're the one impersonating us and stealing our rewards, aren't you?" Naofumi asks, "Why would you think that? Have you ever considered that the problem might be you trying too hard to play the great protector of justice?" Itsuki asks, "What do you mean?" Naofumi counters, "Are you the adventurer who helped the resistance in the north?" Itsuki replies, "Yes." Naofumi asks, "Do you know what happened to that country after you overthrew the king?" Naofumi remembers asking a villager there, "Is this everyone?" The villager replied, "Yes, the rest died. After the revolution, our lives improved briefly, but the resistance raised taxes again because running a country costs money." The king was likely thinking the same way. Naofumi tells Itsuki, "All you did was replace the ruler without solving anything." Itsuki, embarrassed, replies, "Let's not change the subject. We were talking about impersonation." Rin interrupts, asking Naofumi, "What's your explanation for my case?" Naofumi replies, "Do you know the dragon corpse you left behind caused a plague? I I removed the corpse, which is why your request was cancelled. Run is shocked, and Naofumi continues, if you think I'm lying, go check the village yourself. Do you know how many people died because of you? Ren apologizes, saying, I'm sorry. Itsuki gets angry, saying, you believe him? Ren responds, there's no reason for him to lie. Naofumi tells them, don't cause problems again, and leaves. Before he goes, Itsuki says, I don't believe you. Naofumi doesn't reply and walks away. He picks up his repaired shield and meets the knights outside the shop. They tell him, we've collected the 150 silver coins. Naofumi approaches them, hands over the necklace, and says, spend the money you collected on equipping yourselves. If you try to exploit or deceive me, you'll pay the price. He adds them to his party database as followers and says, we have less than 24 hours until the wave. We need to hold a meeting and plan. Meanwhile, one of the Queen's agents reports the events to her. The Queen responds, if what I've heard about the shield hero is true, resolving these conflicts will take a long time. She orders her agent to continue monitoring the shield hero. 5 minutes before the wave, Naofumi and his team prepare themselves. This time, he equips potions and weapons, gives Raphtalia a mana-boosting bracelet, and gives Philo a speed-enhancing hairpin. He registers the knights in the teleportation list. When they teleport to the wave's location, ghouls are attacking the villagers. The knights save a man running from a ghoul. Suddenly, a massive lizard appears behind them. Naofumi blocks its attack, and Raphtalia kills it. They see the old woman Naofumi once healed, who takes down 2 monsters with martial arts strikes, saying, thanks to you, I'm fine now. When a ghoul attacks her, she kills it in 1 blow. The knights tell Naofumi evacuation is complete. Go and end the calamity. Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Philo head toward the source of the wave. They find a massive flying ship surrounded by dragons. They see Itsuki shooting arrows at it and ask about the others. Itsuki says they are on the ship. I told them to prioritize attacking that statue to release the Soul Eater, but they wouldn't listen. Philo jumps onto the ship with Naofumi and Raphtalia. They see Ren fighting a skeletal pirate level 49, unaffected by Ren's attacks. Motoyasu is attacking the Krakens. Ren shouts, what are you doing? The priority is killing the skeleton. Motoyasu argues, no, the priority is the Krakens, and they start quarreling. Naofumi stops them, saying, there's no time for this. Motoyasu responds, go defend the village or something, and mocks Naofumi, calling him a useless failure unfit to be here. Naofumi retorts, who's the failure here? If you won't end the wave, the monsters will keep coming, and I can't protect the village like this. The skeleton attacks Naofumi, who blocks it. He says, instead of cooperating, each of you is doing whatever you want. A kraken attacks him, and he blocks again, adding, if we lose, people will die, and so will we. Stop treating this like a game. They ignore him and continue arguing. Naofumi analyzes the situation and finds a way to extract the Soul Eater without killing the skeleton. He notices the skeleton's shadow flickering and tells Raphtalia, use light magic. When she does, faces appear on the skeleton's and Kraken's shadows. Naofumi instructs her, attack the shadow. She does, and a soul emerges. Ren realizes this and attacks the other shadow, releasing another soul. Itsuki climbs onto the ship upon seeing this. Suddenly, the souls combine, forming the Soul Eater. All the heroes attack, but their strikes have no effect. Naofumi notices that lightning won't work, so he tells Philo to use wind magic, which affects it. The monster gathers a massive amount of energy in its mouth to fire at them. Ren and Motoyasu rush toward it, but Naofumi tells Raphtalia and Philo to stand behind him as he shields them. The monster fires a powerful blast, causing a large explosion that injures everyone. They struggle to stand as the monster prepares another blast. Philo charges it at high speed, provoking it to aim elsewhere. She continues attacking, but the attacks have little effect. Naofumi decides to use the Rage Shield, finding himself in the depths of darkness and negative thoughts. This time, he encounters the dragon he defeated on the mountain. The dragon says, you will pay for humiliating and defeating me, for taking my core and turning me into a tool, you pathetic human. The zombie dragon shield activates, enveloping Naofumi's body in armor. Consumed by anger, he burns with hatred for the dragon. The other heroes are shocked by what they see. Even Philo is affected by the dragon's rage, attacking the Soul Eater and knocking it to the ground. Naofumi rushes to it and burns it with the shield's fire. Mocks, what a savage beast. That's no way for a hero to fight. Raphtalia snaps, why are you standing there doing nothing? Naofumi is fighting for all of us. If I weren't so weak, he wouldn't have to suffer like this. You're strong, so why aren't you fighting? How can you call yourselves heroes? The skeleton and krakens rise to attack Naofumi from behind. Ren cuts the skeleton in half and Itsuki shoots the kraken, killing it. They tell Motoyasu to fight. Motoyasu hesitates, saying, "Why should I help that jerk?" Itsuki replies, "Agreed, but we have no choice." As Motoyasu decides to join, Malty says, "Don't help the shield hero." Rin counters, "Can you kill the Soul Eater yourself?" She falls silent. The Soul Eater pushes Naofumi away and rises again. All the heroes attack it together. Naofumi regains control of the dragon's rage as Raphtalia holds his hand, calming him. He uses shield prison and transformation techniques, trapping the monster with spiked iron bars and destroying its core, ending the calamity alone. Everyone is left in stunned silence, asking, "Is this what the shield hero can do? There must be some cheat or trick." Suddenly, Naofumi senses something strange. Another Soul Eater appears, but is obliterated by a barrage of energy blasts. A girl descends, saying, "You're struggling with weak monsters like these? Are you really the heroes this world relies on? There seems to be only one true hero here." She approaches Naofumi and asks for his name. He replies, "You should introduce yourself before asking for someone else's name." She answers, "My name is Glass. You can consider me your enemy." She then asks, "Shall we begin the true wave battle?" And in the database, it appears that her level is undefined. She asks him, "Aren't you going to attack? Didn't you send your servants toward me?" The other heroes get annoyed by her words and charge at her, but their attacks have no effect. She counters with a wind strike that knocks them all to the ground and says to Naofumi, "I hope you can entertain me a bit." Naofumi drinks a potion to recharge his energy and uses the shield prison technique, but she breaks it easily. He orders Raphtalia to attack, but Glass blocks her strike effortlessly, as well as Philo's. She then attacks Raphtalia, and Naofumi blocks the hit, releasing snakes from his shield that bite her. She responds, "Do you think weak poison like this will harm me?" Naofumi retreats and orders Philo to attack, but Glass deflects all her rapid strikes. Raphtalia appears behind Glass to attack, but she blocks the blow without even looking back and breaks her sword. They retreat to stand behind Naofumi before she can attack again, and he uses shield prison to protect them. However, they pass out from the impact of her strike. Glass comments, "I'm impressed that you're still standing after that attack. When do you plan to use that flaming shield again?" Naofumi activates it and Philo charges, but Glass counters her attack, saying, "You can't touch me." She taps Philo, sending her flying. Naofumi runs at Glass and engulfs her in flames, but it has no effect. She remarks, "Your flames are far too cold to burn me." She transforms her fan into an energy arrow and shoots it at him, piercing his dragon shield. Though weakened, Naofumi remains standing. Glass remarks, "Even that wasn't enough to take you down? I see your defense truly is worthy of the title hero, but your flames only work for close-range attacks. Surely you have a trump card. Don't hide it." Naofumi uses the same technique he used to defeat the Soul Eater, encasing her in the prison. Glass says, "This is even less effective than I anticipated," and destroys the prison without taking any damage. Suddenly, the time limit for the wave runs out. Glass tells Naofumi, "I'm sorry, but I must kill you before the time ends." Naofumi instructs Raphtalia to use light magic, heals Philo, and tells them to flee. They jump off the ship, and Glass fires energy arrows at them, but Naofumi blocks them all. Glass decides to withdraw. After everything returns to normal, Naofumi sits alone, reflecting. He thinks, the countdown for the wave appeared so suddenly, but what are the waves even supposed to be? Aren't they supposed to be apocalyptic disasters? Why was Glass so determined to kill me? These are all unanswered questions. One thing is clear, we have to become stronger before the next wave. If we don't, we'll die. If I use the monster's remains in the shield, I'll gain new skills. But what we need most is to unlock class upgrades for Raphtalia and Philo. Two knights arrive. One is one of Naofumi's followers, and the other says, "You must go to the castle immediately." After much insistence from his knight, Naofumi agrees. At the castle, the king reviews the battle through the magic crystal and sees Naofumi's incredible display of power. He says, "Well done handling the wave, though I hate to admit it. But I have a question. How did you acquire such power? You possess strength unbecoming of the shield hero. It's your duty to reveal the source of this power without lying." Naofumi points to the ground and says, "If you insist on knowing, kneel before me. In my world, someone who requests something must lower themselves and say, 'Please teach me.'" The knights are shocked by his words, and the king becomes furious. Soldiers surround Naofumi, but he remains unshaken and says, "With my current power, I could kill you and walk out the front door if I wanted. He turns to the soldiers and adds, does anyone here want to fight me? The one who killed the leader of the last wave? The king feels both enraged and helpless. Naofumi tells him, I want to cooperate with you until the waves are over and I return to my world. So don't bother me again. He leaves, and the king yells, you cannot humiliate me like this. Naofumi ignores him, prompting the king to declare, I'll make your servants pay for your crimes. Naofumi, now angry, gives him a menacing look and says, use whatever dirty tricks you want. I will protect my party no matter what. You won't take anything from me again. I dare you to touch them. I will hunt you to the ends of the earth and make you regret being born. As Naofumi walks away, a girl approaches and says, you gave an impressive performance this time. Your efforts can no longer be ignored, nor can the power that refuses to accept you, shield hero. Be cautious as you evolve. She leaves him. Meanwhile, Melty confronts her father, the king, saying, I heard you spoke with the shield hero, and it ended in hostility. If you continue to antagonize him, we'll lose our means of combating the waves, and our world will be in danger. Please try to reconcile with him. The king shouts, reconcile with that wretch? Melty asks, why do you hate him? The king responds, if I allow him and the demi-humans to do as they please, I'll lose my family again. Mine enters and says, his defiance is an insult. As princesses, we must not interfere with your decisions, whether we understand them or not, as they are for the city's benefit. She turns to Melty and adds, I know you're young and want father's attention, but you need to exercise some restraint. Melty replies, I appreciate your concern, but this matter doesn't concern you. Like father and mother, I care about the city's welfare because I'm the crown princess. She storms off in anger. At the same time, Naofumi visits the equipment shop. The owner asks, what will you do about the upgrades? After what you did, they won't let you use the dragon hourglass here. Naofumi replies, I'll travel to another town with an hourglass. The shopkeeper gives them accessories for Naofumi's shield to help control it, a new mana-powered sword for Raphtalia, and anti-magic gloves for Philo. They set off for the city recommended by the slave trader. Suddenly, Melty arrives with her guards at an inn where they're resting. Naofumi is annoyed to see her again. She gets off her carriage, approaches him, and says, I ask you to meet the king again. Naofumi refuses. She insists, I want you to apologize for your behavior and reconcile. He says, impossible. She argues, we need your help to stop the waves. You would have lost without the king's financial support. Naofumi retorts, support? I'm the one being generous by helping you until the waves are over. Melty grows angry at his tone, and Raphtalia tries to calm him down. He says, she's royalty. Melty bursts out, why are you and my father like this? A hero and a king should never fight. Apologize to my father, or my mother will scold him. Naofumi suddenly feels something off about her guards. One of them charges at Melty with a sword, but Naofumi pulls her aside and blocks the attack with his shield. The knight says to him, how dare you take the princess hostage? Knights, attack this demon. The knights charge, but Raphtalia and Philo defeat them. One knight, standing at a distance, records what's happening. After capturing the evidence they need, they retreat. A group of mages loyal to the king later takes the crystal and alters the recording, making it appear as if Naofumi and his team were enraged and indeed took the princess hostage and killed the knights. They begin broadcasting the edited footage across the cities, tarnishing the shield hero's reputation. Naofumi and his team hide in the forest, and Raphtalia goes to gather news. When she returns, Naofumi says, because of that foolish king, we're trapped without a way out. Melty interjects, it's impossible that my father is behind this, to which Naofumi replies, who else would do such a thing? She responds, most likely, it's my sister. Naofumi counters, so, she wants to kill you to take your place as heir? He continues, but the knights who attacked you fall directly under the king's command. It's only natural to assume he's involved too. I know them well. They want to frame the shield devil. He walks away for a bit to cool down, then returns and says, we're leaving the city. What about you? Melty replies, I'll return to the capital to talk to my father. Naofumi retorts, if you return, you'll be killed. If you decide to stay with us, I'll protect you. Melty chooses to stay with them. At sunrise, they leave, abandoning their carriage and traveling on foot to the mountain city. They take a rest in a cave, and Melty asks Naofumi, what happened between you and my father? He tells her everything, leaving her stunned. She says, mother told us to treat the shield hero kindly. Naofumi replies, I haven't heard anything about your mother. Melty says, she is the queen of of the country and ranks higher than my father. Suddenly, they hear movement nearby and decide to continue on their way. Someone watches them from behind the rocks. Suddenly, Melty slips and screams. Now Fumi quickly catches her, but the knights discover their location. They try to escape, but are cornered at the cliff's edge. Itsuki appears, saying, "There's nowhere to run. You're surrounded. Don't resist and release Melty immediately." Now Fumi replies, "Do I look like I've restrained her?" Motoyasu says, "Don't lie. We have all the proof we need." Melty tells them, "I'm fine. The shield hero has kept me safe." Run is shocked and asks, "Now Fumi didn't kidnap you?" Melty responds, "No, there's a plot behind all this. I asked him to take me and protect me. What would he gain from kidnapping me? Mother said this is the time for us all to cooperate to fend off the calamities. Our world can't handle unnecessary conflicts. Please lower your weapons." Now Fumi confirms her words, saying, "This is all a setup. Let me tell you everything I know." Main interrupts, saying, "Don't listen to him. That demon has a shield that brainwashes people just by talking to them. Many people have been saying lately that the shield hero is good because he called himself a savior and convinced the innocent." Motoyasu replies, "Then Raphtalia and Philo must have been brainwashed too." Now Fumi retorts, "If I had such an ability, I wouldn't be in this situation in the first place." Ren responds, "But there's nothing to guarantee that's not true. Can you prove it? Hand over the princess, and I promise she won't be harmed." Now Fumi says, "Fine," to avoid fighting. Main approaches Ren with a sly expression, saying, "Yes, the most important thing is my dear sister Melty's safety." Melty becomes scared, clinging to Now Fumi's cloak, and says, "Please no. If I go with her, I'll be killed." Now Fumi tells Ren, "I appreciate your offer, but I can't entrust the princess to Main." Ren asks, "What do you mean?" Main responds, "What are you saying? Melty is my dear sister." Now Fumi interrupts, "You want to become the heir so badly that you'd kill your sister? You'd claim you're curing her of brainwashing and kill her instead. I'm sure that's your plan." Philo transforms, and they ride on her back, speeding away. However, Motoyasu uses a tool that suppresses her transformation and power, causing them to fall from a great height. Main uses her magic to create a signal flare, summoning more knights to surround them. Melty tries to use magic and fires at Main but misses. Main retaliates with fire magic, but now Fumi blocks it. Run is shocked, and Itsuki says, "You're trying to kill Melty." Main replies, "She started it. If we can't undo the brainwashing, it's better she dies." She continues her assault, but now Fumi blocks it. Raphtalia tells Now Fumi, "I'll leave Melty to you." He agrees and tells Melty to step back. He activates the Wrath Shield, and Main orders the knights to fire arrows at him. She gathers energy into a giant fireball, but Raphtalia appears behind her and stabs her with the mana sword. The knights rush toward Now Fumi and Melty. Run tries to stop them, but Now Fumi charges his shield and destroys the cliff, creating a chasm between them. He tells Ren, "I know you'll find out the truth," and removes Motoyasu's tool from Philo's leg. Suddenly, one of the queen's subordinates appears. Melty tells them, "Don't worry, she's on our side." Now Fumi realizes it's the woman he met when leaving the king's castle. She tells Now Fumi, "You are summoned for a meeting with the queen." Suddenly, Raphtalia smells smoke in the forest, and they find Main standing amidst the flames, laughing.